There has to be a mesh. So, Joy, here's a real question. So many people have put a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers put pressure on himself by demanding to be traded in so many ways and so many words. But does Aaron Rodgers actually have anything to lose in New York?
Sure, if you have any expectations of what's going to happen in New York, if you think this is just him sailing into the sunset somewhere new in a fun city, then no. But I think there are real expectations of what Aaron Rodgers is supposed to bring to this team. And with expectations come a little bit of responsibility. So unless you think he's washed and unless you think this is just some sort of, step into retirement and he wanted to try something new, then he absolutely has something to lose. We saw how badly things went with Russell Wilson last year. Now, those are very different situations. Russell Wilson has a lot longer, well, we assume more time to play in the NFL, more time to clear that up. This was not him stepping into retirement. It was a different situation, but it went very poorly, to put it kindly, and it has damaged his reputation. It has, and he has to climb out of that. And now, after Nathaniel Hackett, who is now obviously with the Jets, has been fired, they brought in a legendary coach in Sean Payton. So if that doesn't work, that'll be a huge problem. So I definitely think he has things to lose. He asked out of New York. While time heals all wounds, Green Bay, from all accounts, was ready to move on from him as well. The fans were over the drama. He could have finished his time there without all that drama, and he didn't. So I think the expectations demand that he does have something to lose.
When a great goes somewhere else, if they don't ball out, do we actually remember it? I suggest you know better than I because you've covered sports for longer, but I think about whether it is Joe Montana, who ended his career, I believe, with the Chiefs. I think they went 14-2, something along those lines. He did well, but didn't win a Super Bowl. Jordan with the Wizards. McNabb, I think, ends with Washington and the Vikings his last couple years. Brett Favre goes to the Jets. Brett Favre goes to the Vikings. Emmitt Smith, he touches the Arizona Cardinals. When greats go elsewhere, even if they don't hoist their championship trophy, isn't it just kind of an afterthought has been my thought process, Shady? That's why I'm not sold that Rodgers actually has anything to lose, because even if he is terrible, will we talk about it?
Yeah, see, I disagree with you, though, because I think it's all timing-based, right? You name a lot of good players, a lot of great players that moved on, and to go with your argument. But there's other players, like Tom Brady, going with the Bucs. Like, we count that. The Super Bowl made it bigger, but we still count him. He thrown for 4,000-plus yards, getting to the playoffs every year he was with Tampa. That counts. Peyton Manning. You going to the Broncos like, whoa, that stuff still sticks. You got a championship. You win the Super Bowl twice. We count that. So I agree with you, but I disagree because it's all about the timing. And I think on certain timings, what player is it? A lot of them guys you talked about, they were kind of at the end. Like, Emmitt Smith was one of the greatest running backs of all time, right?
Yeah.
But at the time when he went to the Cardinals, he wasn't really. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like A-Rod is still a solid player. Like 2 years ago, he just won an MVP. That did happen.
It can help you.
That did happen.
It can help you, but can it hurt you? In the sense of, like, D-Wade, one of the best shooting guards of all time, top 5, ends his career. I think he goes to the Bulls, he goes to the Cavs, goes back to Miami. Those Bulls and Cavs years were nothing to write home about. So I'm like, whether I choose any player who ends on any other roster, can it actually hurt your legacy? Or can it only help your... Even if Russell Wilson were to retire tomorrow, in 5 years, wouldn't we still, Joy, talk about, well, he won a Super Bowl in his second year, he went back in his third year? Or would Denver truly undermine 9 straight winning seasons? Like, I'm just thinking, can Aaron Rodgers actually fail long term?
It's not going to hurt his Hall of Fame first ballot entry. It's not going to hurt his reputation as one of the most talented throwers of the football that we've ever seen. It's not going to hurt anything that he accomplished in his time, 4 MVPs, always in the playoffs, NFC championship games, and a Super Bowl win. But it will be a part of his story. Yes, if Russell Wilson retired tomorrow, we would add that bad Broncos year. And it has already made us question how legitimate all of his time in Seattle was. So it would count. And to Shady's point about where you are in your career, Aaron Rodgers is still making $50 million a year. He won the league MVP 2 years ago, and he's going to a team that hasn't been to the playoffs, that's replacing a first-round pick that they just made a few years ago. Now, listen, he needs to be replaced, but there's expectations that he should come in here and be successful immediately. It's not like he's riding off into the sunset. You know what? It's Aaron Rodgers. We'll give him a year to come here and chill. You know, we'll sell a couple tickets. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be cheeky. No, there's real expectations here for him not to maybe win a Super Bowl, although I think that should be the expectation. to have success. He's going to a team that hasn't had success. He's supposed to be the savior. When you're talking about Dwayne Wade, Dwayne wasn't supposed to go there and win Chicago a championship. He wasn't going to the Cavs to win a championship. Even when he came back to Miami, there was an expectation of a championship. There wasn't expectations of that of Michael Jordan. So where you are in your career and where the team is that you're going to matters. And the role that you play with that team. He's the quarterback. He's not the third wide receiver. He's not the number 2 option at back. He's the quarterback coming in for a team that has the longest streak of not making the playoffs in American major sports right now.
And another thing is, like, I think about the hype.
Right.
Like Jordan on the Wizards was like, oh, man, Jordan's coming back. But the hype wasn't there. Even Wade going to Chicago, the hype wasn't there.
But
hold on, the hype is there for the Jets. Like, they did so much. They go get your favorite offense coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett.
Shady.
They signed 2 players that probably wouldn't be signed to another team. They gave Alan Lazard, like, real money, like $44 million. Take this because we want to get Aaron Rodgers. They hyping it up so much that he has to be something.
Wouldn't you say to some degree this is being a prisoner of the moment? The reason I say that is, like, clearly there was hype when Jordan went to the Wizards, at least to go to the playoffs, which he did not do. I can at least vividly remember the Dwayne Wade aspect because I was an avid follower and still am of LeBron James. The Cavs had gone to 3 straight championships at the time. I think D. Wade joined in that 17-18 season, if I'm not mistaken. There was still hype of like, yo, D. Wade, LeBron back together again. Clearly, D. Wade was not the same guy as Jordan can attest to, but there was still hype there. Brett Favre, we all know he got a 2nd or a 3rd round pick when he left the Packers. Not a 1st. Granted, Aaron Rodgers hasn't yet gotten the 1st. It's still contingent, but it was a 3rd round pick, contingent to move up to a 2nd. So I'm just saying, like, are we being prisoners of the moment in the sense that, yes, there is hype for Aaron Rodgers. He is one of the greatest football players the game has ever seen. But would it be a footnote, Joy, in the story, or would it be like, could it actually damage the story?
Depends on how it goes. If he makes it to the playoffs, wins a playoff game, they make it to the playoffs back-to-back years, and he retires, it's not a dumpster fire. It's not a Super Bowl, but it's not a dumpster fire. Then yeah, sure, we probably will mention that he spent time with the Jets. We talk about Brett Favre with the Jets and Brett Favre with the Vikings. We talk about that. We talk about the way that he exited Green Bay. That's a part of Brett Favre's story, very much a part of the narrative.
The exit or the existence, in the sense that the exit of Green Bay we talk about all the time. But we rarely mention the fact that Brett Favre, I think, won 13-3 in Minnesota, went to an NFC Championship game, lost to the Saints.
Yeah, but
we don't really talk about that.
It's not an afterthought that he spent time with other teams and that it ended badly in Green Bay.
Okay, see, that's my point. So you talk about he went 13-3, right? Cool. Well, the Vikings wasn't doing that for a while.
12-4 for correction.
So let's say that he was there and he was trash. We would definitely talk about that, right? So I think it's like you talk about the moments and the scenarios, and I think that A-Rod is still held to a higher. He's getting paid $50 million. He's top 3, like, highest paid.
Yeah.
Got to deliver.
Right. You know, just give him a baby. Please come. No, we need him.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.